Hello, my name is Ryan Diener, and I am going to be giving a persuasive speech on why abortion is a fundamental human right. Everybody has heard of the famous Roe versus Wade Supreme Court case in 1973. Roe versus Wade initially ruled that the Constitution protects a woman that is pregnant and allows her to have full bodily autonomy, specifically abortion. And it's covered by the 1st, 4th, 5th, 9th, and 14th Amendment. For those of you who do not recall what those amendments are, luckily I do. The First Amendment protects people's right to speech and/or the press. The Fourth Amendment protects people from unreasonable search and seizures from the government. The Fifth Amendment guarantees that an individual cannot be compelled by the government to provide incriminating information about themselves. The Ninth Amendment states that the federal government does not own rights that are not listed in the Constitution, but instead belongs to the citizens. And finally, the biggest one, the 14th Amendment, forbids the states from depriving any person of life, liberty, and/or property without due process of law, and provides a fundamental right to security. So all of these amendments have been the sole reason as to why abortion has been legal across the entire nation. Our country is ran based on the premise of a document made 234 years ago. A document that was made at the time where women and African Americans were not even seen as human beings. Equal rights were not a thing. A document that was made at the time where only rich white men had a say in anything about rights across the entire nation. Maybe that needs to change. I'm sure you've seen the news where on May 2nd, 2022, the Supreme Court voted to strike down Roe versus Wade, hoping to make it illegal across all 50 states to have an abortion. This obviously wreaked havoc. I thought that it was very interesting how on the night that they decided to strike it down, secretly, if I might add, it got leaked out that they were doing this. They wanted to hide it as much as they could. They set up 18-foot barricades across the Supreme Court, across the Washington Capitol, across the White House, across many main buildings in Washington, D.C., because they knew that what they were doing was right. Throughout the entire country, very few liberal states have guaranteed that abortion will guaranteed to be legalized. Some of those states include California, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, Minnesota, New York, Maryland, Hawaii. That's just a few, but there is not many more. Men have been trying to regulate our bodies since the start of Roe versus Wade and even before. Roe versus Wade initially started when Texas banned abortion, and a pregnant woman took it to the Supreme Court and said that you can't do this to me. But the crazy thing was it took 2 years for Roe versus Wade to get through and it being passed and everything, and it got passed, and 3 years later, the Supreme Court created the Hyde Amendment. The Hyde Amendment was passed, and that actually blocked federal Medicaid funding for abortion services, making it obviously an intrusive and unfair restriction on insurance coverage for millions of people with low income. In September of 2021, just a few months ago, in Texas, they passed a law saying that having an abortion after a fetal heartbeat is detected, which, if you do not know, is as early as 6 weeks, is illegal. So, in most cases, a woman finds out she's pregnant on average from 8 to 16 weeks. So let's backtrack for just 1 second. A heartbeat can be detected 2 weeks after a missed period. Most women don't know that they're pregnant at that time. Most women don't even take pregnancy tests at that time, let alone set up a doctor appointment and have an abortion done to have it be legal. My grandmother actually did not know that she was pregnant until her 3rd month in her pregnancy. That was 1/3 done of her pregnancy that she didn't even know that she had a child. In this specific law, abortion is still illegal and punishable by up to 25 years in prison. And the doctor who performed it, 99 years. If you find out that somebody had an abortion, you can go and report them and get up to $10,000. And everybody knows how money really turns a man greedy. This specific law makes no exception to rape or incest. So let me paint a picture for you that was actually brought up by a House of Representative when asked if this would be plausible. A 13-year-old girl gets raped by her uncle and gets pregnant. She tries to get an abortion because what 13-year-old can raise a child? And her uncle reports her. She will now go to jail and he will get $10,000. The response to if this situation would be plausible? Yes, it would be. And you know, I can sit here and argue rape, incest, all of these awful things that men do to women, but then that would just mean that I'm advocating for women to only have bodily rights and autonomy to themselves when a man violates it first. And I don't think that that's right. Did you know that nearly 1 in 3 women get an abortion in their lifetime? And 6 out of 10 women are already mothers. People have this idea painted that all of these people that get abortions are a bunch of knocked up teenagers or a bunch of low-life 20-year-olds who can't afford to raise their kids. Incorrect. The girl sitting next to you in your class, your coworker, your mom, your sister, they've all probably gotten abortions, most likely rather than not. It has become increasingly more difficult to be able to find safe and accessible abortions anywhere. Did you know 89% of the United States counties don't have an abortion provider? And there are actually 16 states in the United States right now where 95% of counties don't even have an abortion clinic. Did you also know that Black women suffer from maternal mortality rates at rates 3 times higher than white women? The 2 leading causes of these: systematic racism and implicit bias. So when abortions are limited, and it's limited for accessibility to everybody, imagine how limited it is to poor Black women, or even Black women with a higher income. If nothing I say has stuck with you, then hopefully this will. Imagine if it was your sister, your mother, your wife. They got raped and had to have that child. I think it's funny that the idea of a 13, 14, 15, 16, even 17, 18, 19-year-old adopting a kid is just mind-boggling. Because what 13 and 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old can raise a child, but yet we feel it's okay to go through the most painful process a human body can endure and force them to have that child? So as I was saying, imagine if it was your sister, your mother, your wife. Imagine they got raped and had to have that child. Okay, maybe you're sitting here and telling me, okay, we would put them up for adoption. Okay. And they go into the foster care with the other 100,000 kids. Did you know that kids that are in foster care until they're 18 have an 87% chance higher to end up on the streets and overdose on drugs by the time they're 23 years old? The system gives these kids 5 years on the streets before they assume that they are dead, because the system gives no hope for these kids. Don't like abortion? Ignore it. Just like you ignore the kids that are in foster care. If you don't like abortion, start advocating for safe sex, free health care, free birth control, more money in poor neighborhoods. You know, the neighborhoods where all of the kids you're forcing to be born are gonna go. Just because you have taken away safe and accessible abortion does not mean you will ever stop abortion. And that is my main point here today. Women now will start throwing themselves off of stairs, using a coat hanger, overdosing on pills, and the list goes on. So while you felt that it was so important to bring this child into this life, you are so pro-life, you have now lost two. The pregnant women mortality rate across this nation will skyrocket. And women are going to die everywhere. Thank you.